What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, we're going to be doing another NASCAR silly season update here on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We've got a lot of silly season news that we're going to go from the beginning of silly season to the end of silly season that has happened recently. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. For me, it has already been one of the craziest NASCAR silly seasons. Drivers who we thought were going to be staying with their teams that are not going to be staying with their teams, and drivers going to organizations that we never thought were going to be going to those organizations. So we got a lot of silly season news to discuss today. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. The first thing that would happen early in the silly season would be that Ryan Blaney would sign a 3-year, multi-year extension with Team Penske. So he will be remaining with Team Penske through the 2023 season, which is a really good move by Team Penske. Then silly season would be kind of quiet for a little bit, and then earlier in the year, it would be announced that Alex Bowman would sign a 1-year extension with Hendrick Motorsports, so he would sign a 1-year extension through 2021. He will come up later in the silly season update, but there he signed a 1-year extension with Hendrick Motorsports for the 2021 season. And then the first of the major silly seasons of people who were on the free agent market, Brad Keselowski would end up signing a 1-year contract extension with Team Penske, which I think is a really good move by Team Penske to re-sign him for one season, and there's a chance in the future he could re-sign with that team in 2022. And then the next day it would be announced that out of nowhere, Levine Family Racing would be shutting down at the end of the 2020 season. There have been rumblings that they were thinking about shutting down and selling their charter because Bob Levine was looking to kind of just keep his funding toward the construction company. So that's where the rumors started spreading, and he would announce that they would be shutting down the team. And this would mean that at the time, Christopher Bell would actually end up becoming a free agent, though he would end up finding another organization to go to in 2021. And then a few days later, it would be announced that Eric Jones would not be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021, becoming another big player in the NASCAR free agency season early. And he had been at the time rumored to be going to Hendrick Motorsports, though he would also find another organization to go to in 2021. And then the next day, Tyler Reddick himself would announce that he would be going to return to Richard Childress Racing in 2021. Apparently, he has a 2-year contract with the team, so 2021. So I believe that he will be a free agent after the 2021 season, but he will be returning to Richard Childress Racing in 2021. And then on the Monday morning of the next week, it would be announced that Christopher Bell would be taking over the 20 car in 2021. Once Eric Jones announced that he would not be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing, he definitely became the front runner to go to Joe Gibbs Racing, which I think is a really good move for him to go to Joe Gibbs Racing. I think Christopher Bell has a lot of talent, a lot of capabilities, and he would go to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. And then this next day, it would be announced that Spire Motorsports had bought the Levine Family Racing charter. They would end up having actually 3 charters, by the way, and they would expand to a 2-car full-time operation. And they were at the time, and are still at this moment, looking for 2 full-time drivers that do bring some funding and do also have some talent to bring to the organization, because they do want to become a top-tier organization. But they would expand to a 2-car operation is planning on expanding to a 2-car operation for the 2021 season. And then, at the end of the week, it would be announced that Corey LaJoie would not be returning to Go Fast Racing in 2021. Corey LaJoie being a really talented driver, he still, at the moment, is unsure where he is going for 2021, though he is a lead candidate for Spire Motorsports up to this point, but he will not be returning to Go Fast Racing in 2021. And then it would be announced later, a week or two later, that Noah Gragson would be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2021. He, at the time, had been a front runner to go to Hendrick Motorsports' number 48 car to replace Jimmy Johnson, and people thought there was a chance he would take over that car since he was in the Hendrick pipeline and maybe go to that organization, but he would be another person off of the running for the 48 car, and he would be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2021. The next day, Ryan Sieg's team would announce that they would be returning to the Xfinity Series in 2021, and as CMR Construction and Roofing was going to be the sponsor for the whole season, Ryan Sieg back in the Xfinity Series, one of the family teams, and really good to see them coming back. And then about a week or two later, early September, it would be announced that Eric Almirola would be returning to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2021 with 25 primary races with Smithfield Foods. That is down from 30 races instead of 25 races. I think Eric Almirola really is returning that organization because Eric Almirola has brought a lot of success in 2020. Again, the random draws definitely help Eric Almirola, but the fact that Eric Almirola brings a lot of funding Smithfield Foods, it really helped him, and that he will be returning to that organization in 2021. It would also be announced later that day that William Byron would announce that he would have signed a 2-year contract extension. So he signed a contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports through 2022 after winning the Daytona race, the cutoff race for the playoffs began. He would sign a 2-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports. Again, I think William Byron is a very talented driver, and I think it didn't surprise me. And I think they have a lot of faith and confidence in William Byron for the foreseeable future. And then the next big free agent will come into play as Bubba Wallace announced that he would not be returning to Richard Petty Motorsports in 2021. Now, he would go to another organization, and we'll talk about here as this episode goes on, but he would announce that, and there were rumors speculating that he was going to return to Richard Petty Motorsports. It would, though, however, be announced that Bubba Wallace would not be returning to Richard Petty Motorsports in 21, making the 43 car in play for another driver to go to for 2021. And then it would be announced that Sam Mayer would be driving the second half of the 2021 season in the number 8 Junior Motorsports car, and he'd be going full-time, is expected to be going full-time with that organization in 2022. Sam Mayer is a really, really top-tier prospect in the lower-tier series. He won a Truck Series race at Bristol, and I think he has a lot of talent and capabilities. He will go full-time in the won't go full-time. He will end up running pretty much the whole second half of the year. He's not really going to be running the first half of the year, and I do think that he'll run some Truck Series races, but he will be running the second half of the season with Junior Motorsports in 2021 in the A car. The other driver would be announced as it went on. And then it would be announced that same day that Daniel Suarez would not be returning to Gaunt Brothers Racing's number 96 program in 2021, making him a free agent. It had been rumored that he might be returning to Gaunt Brothers Racing in 2021, but that got confirmed that he would not be returning to them. But he would end up finding another organization later as well. And then there would be 2 major bombshell silly season moves that would end up taking place in the season. The first one being that Ross Chastain was announced to be the driver to drive the number 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing in 2021. He, at the point, was currently driving for Colleague Racing in the 10 car, was putting up consistent performances. And Chip Ganassi had been looking at him to maybe replace Kyle Larson in 2020 or Kurt Busch in 2022. That was being looked at, and Kyle Larson had his issues earlier in the season. But Ross Chastain was announced to be driving the 42 car full-time in 2021. So the Watermelon Man would be going there. It would then be announced late in the evening, about 7 o'clock, and Denny Hamlin announced that Bubba Wallace would be driving the number 23 car. Well, this was announced at the time, but he would be announced to be driving for Denny Hamlin's and Michael Jordan's team. This team actually would end up being called 23XI Racing. The number is going to be 23. Like I said, it is a team owned by Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, and this would be a Toyota-backed team. We would have a J.J.R. Lance, and it would be announced about a month later that Mike Wheeler would end up being the crew chief for this organization in 2021. So Bubba Wallace would find a lot of rides. Now, there is a sponsor currently at the moment, McDonald's, that looks like to be going over there, but there are a lot of sponsors I do expect to be going over at Bubba Wallace, and apparently they have a lot of sponsors that they're looking at putting on that car. Apparently, Denny Hamlin said they don't have enough room to put it on the car. So that's really cool. Bubba Wallace getting a good opportunity with a JGR line car, and will be racing for Denny Hamlin's organization in 2021. Which now with that happening, it would be announced that Germain Racing has sold their charter to 23XI Racing. They would be shutting down at the end of the 2020 season, and this would mean that Ty Dillon would become a free agent. And currently at this moment, he is still a free agent, though there is a possibility that he would end up might be either going to one of the Spire cars in 2021, or he is going to go to RCR's Xfinity Series program in 2021. I think he was starting to improve that organization and was having a consistent year, top 30 in points, getting that team. They were kind of stagnant, but also improving as well. And Ty Dillon would become a free agent once again in 2021. And then it would be announced that Carson Hocevar will be going full-time in the NASCAR Truck Series in 2021 with Nice Motorsports. He's having some pretty strong performances. I think he's a very talented driver, and I'm really happy to see that he will be going full-time with Nice Motorsports in 2021. I think that's a really good pickup for that team. I know that they're probably not going to win a championship, but there's chances that Carson Hocevar could definitely put up some really strong performances with this organization in 2021. And then it would be announced, shockingly, that Chad Knaus would no longer be a crew chief in 2020, would not be returning to crew chief duties for William Byron in 2020, as he would be becoming an executive, going to the executive management position in 2020, which is a major, major upgrade from the crew chief. All the crew chiefs, all the engineers are going to have to report to him, and he's also being reported that he's also working with the Hendrick ECR program as they will be upgrading in 2021. And it would also be announced, too, that, like I said, he'll be working as executive management. So really good for Chad Knaus. Great opportunity for him, and he will be going to work there in 2021 in the upper positions. And then it would be announced about a day or two later that Alex Bowman will be moving from the 88 car over to the 48 car. Ally was looking at putting someone kind of clean cut, and Alex Bowman kind of fits and matches him. Similar to Jimmy Johnson, he is a clean cut driver, though he does have a lot of personality. Alex Bowman would be announced to go over to the 48 car. Now, the 88 team is basically just switching the number up. They are going to, Greg Guys is going to go over with Alex Bowman to that organization. So, like I said, he will be going to the 48 car in 2021. And then later in the week on that Wednesday, Trackhouse Racing would finally come into play. Daniel Suarez would be announced to be going to Trackhouse Racing in 2021, a new organization. Now, this is basically going to be a third RCR car. It is an RCR-backed team, and this team is owned by Justin Marks, and they are going to be managed by Ty Norris, who has a lot of experience as a team manager. He also managed Michael Waltrip Racing and has had work for Spire Motorsports in the past. But Daniel Suarez will be moving over to an RCR-backed team. There is a lot of high hopes for this new organization that is coming into NASCAR. This would be the second of 3 teams that would announce that they would be coming full-time to the NASCAR Cup Series 2021. And they basically be taking the place of Germain Racing as the RCR-backed Chevy organization. I think it's a really good opportunity for Daniel Suarez. And then it would be announced, and there would be 2 people we're going to talk about here, that Matt DiBenedetto would be returning to Wood Brothers Racing in 2021. However, there is a catch to this. He is going to become a free agent in 2022. He will not be returning to the organization in 2022 as Austin Cindric, who is in the Team Penske lineup in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He will be returning to Team Penske's Xfinity Series program in 2021. He will run a select few starts, so in the Cup Series, up to 6 or 7 races. Mainly going to probably, in all honesty, I think he's probably going to run the road course races and maybe Daytona. The number has not been announced for that car currently at the moment, but he will be driving in for Team Penske in Select Starts 2021, and he will be going full-time in 2022 to Wood Brothers organization. So, really cool opportunity for Austin Cindric. I think Austin Cindric does have a lot of talent from where he's come from, especially over the last couple of years. I think that this is a major, major upgrade for Austin Cindric, and I think that there is a good opportunity for Austin Cindric to maybe win one of the road course races. I think he's a road course ace, and a lot of people look at him as arguably one of the early favorites going into that race, into the season as well. And it would also be announced on the same day that Clint Bowyer would not be returning to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2021, as he would be retiring from full-time competition in 2020, and he would be headed to the Fox Sports booth for the 2021 season, along with Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy. This is a major, major upgrade for the Fox Sports booth. Clint Bowyer brings a lot of energy, a lot of personality to the Fox Sports booth. I think that Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy really need someone to kind of back them, because I think Jeff Gordon's kind of boring and Mike Joy can hold his own. But you have someone who's witty and also is a really good reporter as well and does a really good job. I think that you're bringing a really good person like Clint Bowyer up, and I think this is a really good move. So now that would also mean that the 14 car would end up being open with Clint Bowyer retiring after 2020. And then later the next week, it would be about a week or 2 later, it would be announced that Zane Smith will be returning to GMS Racing full-time for the 2021 season after a really good 2020 season. It is no shock and surprise that Zane Smith is going to be returning to the organization in 2021 as one of the hot shot prospects and a really fast driver as well, and your most popular driver in the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series due to his personality and due to his skills on the racetrack as well. And then the next day, it would be announced that Brandon Jones would be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2020 with the 19 program. Doesn't surprise me. There actually were rumors, though, going around that he might be going to Gaunt Brothers Racing's number 96 car, but it would be announced that he would be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. I think that this is a really good move for him. I think Brandon Jones has definitely improved over the last couple years. Granted, I think there is a fact that the competition Xfinity has gotten weaker, though. That being said, I think it's going to get a little bit stronger next year with some of the drivers that are going over there. I think that this is a really good move for Brandon Jones. He has improved drastically, and I think it's a good decision to just re-sign him for the 2021 season. And then a couple smaller back teams later in the week would announce some signings on the same day. Brandon Brown announced himself, and the team announced that he would be returning to Brandonville Motorsports 2020. It was actually Colin Fern who runs the direction program. I think he runs social media account as well for them as well. He will be returning to Brandonville Motorsports in 2021, and Doug Randolph is going to be the crew chief for them in 2021. I think that Brandon Brown had a major increase and a really good year this year. They actually ended up making the playoffs. Like I said, competition Xfinity was weaker, but there were points this year where they were really improving, and they also at points got ECR back engines in the NASCAR playoffs, so I think that it was a major upgrade for them, and I think it's really good that Brandon Brown is returning next year. And then later in the day, Tommy Joe Barnes himself announced that he would be returning in 2021. Great to see Tommy Joe Barnes coming back to the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I really like Tommy Joe Barnes a lot. He is not afraid to speak his mind on certain aspects. He also spoke his mind just recently on the charters, and we'll make a video and talk about that really shortly. But Tommy Joe Barnes announced he'd be returning in 2021. When he didn't run into trouble engine problems, they were running top 15 in top 20. He was really running top 15, top 20 on a week-to-week basis. But they had a lot of engine problems, a lot of problems with the cars. Hopefully, though, they can kank out those problems in 2022. They will have a few races with practice next year. And hopefully, Tommy Joe Barnes can be a really big competition factor in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Maybe have a shot at making the playoffs in 2021. And then it would be announced, actually during the NASCAR Truck Series race at Kansas International Speedway, that Hailie Deegan would be going full-time Truck Series racing in 2021, driving for DJR Crossley in 2021. Now, it's not confirmed what number she'll drive. There is possibility that she'll drive the number 15 car, but there is also a possibility that she'll drive the number 17 car full-time in 2021. I think that this is a really good move for her. The ARCA Series has been dying. I think she's going to learn a lot more in the Truck Series, racing 15th or 20th in the Truck Series, then running 5th or 6th in the ARCA Series when there's no competition and you can't really learn. And she really impressed me in the Truck Series race, scoring a top 15 in that race. That was really impressive watching. Hailie Deegan had a pretty strong race in her debut. And then silly season week happened. There were 3 or 4 signings that would end up taking place. The first one early in the morning would be that Justin Haley would be returning to College Racing in 2021 in the number 11 car. There have been rumblings and rumors that he would be maybe going to Spire Motorsports in 2021, but it was confirmed by College Racing that he would be returning to their organization in 2021, and he is currently not planning on moving up the Cup full-time until 2022. He basically made a decision for himself, according to himself, and I think it's a good move for Justin Haley to be returning to College Racing in 2021. And then it would be announced on the same day that Chase Briscoe would be moving to the 14 car full-time in 2021 after winning his 9th race, I believe it was, at Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. He would have announced that he would be going full-time in the number 14 car. Now, it is not confirmed who the crew chief is going to be. If it's going to be, I think it's Johnny Klostermeyer or the other crew chief, Mike Bubravitz, or it's going to be Richard Boswell. I'm really not sure who the crew chief is going to be, but we know for a fact that Chase Briscoe is going to move. I think Chase Briscoe is a really top prospect for driver, and I think it doesn't surprise that he will be going full-time for them in 2021. And then it would be announced, and it had been rumored for a couple weeks, that Eric Jones might be going to JHD Doherty Racing's number 37 car, but it was confirmed on the Wednesday that Eric Jones will be joining the illustrious number 43 car, joining Rich Petty Motorsports in 2021. It is a multi-year deal, so Eric Jones does have some backing, and he will have some time just in case he does come to the free agent in the future. He really doesn't have to worry about free agency in 2021 or 2022, so he'll be with that team at least for 2 years. So he has some job security for the time being. And like I mentioned, Jerry Baxter is going to be the crew chief, which can really help Eric Jones. I believe he has worked with Eric Jones in the past. Jerry Baxter has worked with Bubba Wallace as well, and we saw how much they improved. There is a lot of hype around Eric Jones, maybe having a shot at top 20 in the points, so the competition in the Cup is going to be extremely strong in 2021. And then it would be announced later in the week that Josh Berry, a really awesome late models driver who is driven for Junior Motorsports late model program, that he will be running the 12 of the first, I think, 14 or 15 races with Junior Motorsports in 2021. Great opportunity for him. I think Josh Berry is a very, very talented driver. He's done really well in the late models, and I'm really glad that Dale Jr. is giving him a really good opportunity to race in NASCAR Xfinity Series for Junior Motorsports' number 8 program of 2021. Let's just hope and pray that the number 8 team doesn't have as many mechanical issues, because when they don't have mechanical issues, they were generally a top 5 team on a week-to-week basis last year. So hopefully that does not become an issue in 2021. And then it would be announced later in the week that unfortunately Go Fast Racing would be scaling back to a part-time basis in 2021, and they would end up selling their charter. They are only currently planning at the moment to run 5 to 6 races. I expect them to run Daytona, but I do expect them to probably run the road course races as well. Maybe they'll run Talladega, and maybe they'll, like I said, run some road course races as well. Maybe they'll run the Bristol Dirt Race for all we know, but unfortunately Go Fast Racing announced that they will be scaling back to a part-time basis in the 2021 season. And then it would be announced the next day that Matt Tiff and BJ McLeod will come up later in the episode that they had acquired the charter from Go Fast Racing, and they will be taking over, and they are expected to be a Ford manufacturer in 2021. They would end up acquiring the charter from Go Fast Racing in 2021. And then that same day, we would actually have 2 signings at GMS Racing. The first one that was signed would be 2020 NASCAR Again Outdoors Truck Series champion Sheldon Creed. He would be returning to GMS in 2021. Again, a really good move to re-sign him in 2020, especially after winning the championship. He would be going back there in 2021. And then it would be announced as well that Tyler Ankrum would be returning to GMS in 2020. Again, Tyler Ankrum, I think, does have a lot of talent and capabilities, and I think that it's a really good... Again, he did not make the 5 championship 4. I think he made the round of 8, if I'm not mistaken, but he did not win a race in the number 26 car. But again, his crew chief really isn't good, if we're going to be honest. That being said, I think it's a really good pickup for GMS, and both those drivers will be returning to there in 2021. And then during the Texas Rain Relay that took 20 years to complete during that race, which took so long to complete, Rudy Fiegel would be announced to be leaving Kyle Busch Motorsports, shockingly, and he would be going to become the crew chief for William Byron as replacement for Chad Knaus in 2021. I think that Rudy Fiegel is a really, really big pickup for Hendrick Motorsports. I've talked about Rudy Fiegel many, many times on this channel. He has worked with Bubba Wallace. No, he's not worked with Bubba Wallace. He's worked with Noah Gragson, worked with William Byron, worked at Eric Jones. He's worked on a long list of really talented and championship calibers, also Christopher Bell as well, and helped those drivers win. I think this is a really big pickup for Hendrick Motorsports, and I think Rudy Fiegel is really going to help this organization in 2021, the 24 team, and I think they need major improvement in 2021. And then the biggest silly season update, biggest thing that really, really happened in the silly season, the biggest driver who is still in the free agent market, the one that everyone had been wondering about, Kyle Larson would be announced to be headed to Hendrick Motorsports' number 5 car. You heard that right, the number 5 car in 2021. It is according to Hendrick Motorsports, and it is a multi-year deal. Cliff Daniels is going to be the crew chief for this organization, and he can race dirt, to my knowledge. He is allowed to race dirt races. Maybe that will play into play for the truck series. Maybe we'll run some of the Knoxville races, maybe the Bristol Dirt. There is a possibility of that. Now, sponsors currently have not been announced at the moment, though. I've heard some insiders about some sponsors that we could be seeing come to Kyle Larson in 2021. Really good decision by Hendrick Motorsports to pick up. I think this is a really good pickup for them. And this basically is the 48 organization. So technically, your Kyle Larson is the one who is replacing Jimmy Johnson, though it is a different number. He's technically replacing Jimmy Johnson in the number 5 car in 2021. So that means the 88 car is not going to be back in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2021. And then on the Friday for the Truck Series race took place at Martinsville, Austin Hill announced that he will be returning full-time to Hattori Racing Enterprises in 2021, and he will be going part-time in Xfinity in 2021 as well, kind of similar to what he's done in 2020. Great job great decision, in my opinion, by Hattori Racing to re-sign him and keep him in that organization. I think that he has been a really good replacement for Brett Moffitt, especially over the last couple of years. He was the one driver I was really excited to see replace Brett Moffitt, and really the only one I really wanted to replace Brett Moffitt. I think that he's done an excellent job in this organization since he came to there since 2020. And then on the Saturday for the Xfinity Series race, took green flag as well. Josh Williams would be announced to be returning full-time to DGM Racing in 2021. He's had some strong performances with this organization. It really didn't shock me one bit that he will be returning full-time to that organization in 2021. And maybe there is a chance he could make the playoffs for his team in 2021. That will be to be determined. And then the next week on the Monday for the championship race happening in Phoenix for the Xfinity Series, Justin Allgaier will be announced that he will be returning full-time to Junior Motorsports in 2020, and Brandt will be the majority sponsor, to my knowledge, I think for 20 or 21 races. Doesn't surprise me. Kelly Garr is on the board of directors for Brandt, so it really doesn't shock me that he will be returning to Junior Motorsports in 2021. Justin Allgaier has always been a championship contender with this team. It did not surprise me that he will be returning full-time with Junior Motorsports in 2021. And then a day or two later, it will be announced out of nowhere that Rick Ware Racing is going to be running 2 full-time Xfinity Series cars in 2021. Drivers have not been announced. That there is indication maybe James Davidson could be one of the drivers, and the other driver maybe could be Cody Ware, though there is rumblings about Rick Ware maybe going to IndyCar as well at the moment, and they might be headed there. There are a lot of drivers to think about. Maybe you could see Garrett Smithley go over there, though it's not confirmed he's going to be returning to JD Motorsports or not next year. That has not been confirmed, but we now know that Rick Ware Racing will be running 2 full-time Xfinity Series cars in 2021. And then it would also be announced that Michael Annett would be returning to Junior Motorsports' number 1 car in 2021. He's kind of stagnated over the last year. I mean, 2019 was a huge improvement. He was able to win a race with Travis Mack, but in 2020, he kind of stagnated, but still has been pretty consistent, though the Xfinity competition has been weaker, so you would think he'd kind of step up with a couple of the big dogs going up the Cup of 2020. But Michael Annett's a solid driver, but he will be returning full-time to Junior Motorsports in 2021. And then it would be a little bit before silly season really would begin once again, but we would have a plethora of Xfinity Series silly season news that would take place on the same day. The first big drop would be announced is that Daniel Hemrick is going to be going full-time in the number 18 car, and he will be going to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. There have been insiders that have been saying for about a week or two that he would be going to Joe Gibbs Racing, and this really came out of nowhere for some people, but for me, I kind of saw this coming. I think this is a really good pickup for Joe Gibbs Racing. I think Daniel Hemrick is a really talented driver. I think his goal really is to win. We'll have to watch what he does in 2021. With that happening, that meant that Riley Herbst would become a free agent in 2021 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He would not be returning, though he is expected, and it has not been confirmed by Stewart-Haas Racing, but many people believe that he is going to be going full-time to Stewart-Haas Racing's number 98 program in 2021. He does have full-time backing. Am I a big fan of Riley Herbst myself? I'm really not, if we're going to be honest, but it doesn't surprise me. I think Monster being a big contributor to move over to Ford, especially with Hailie Deegan being over in the Ford organization and Monster sponsors her. It doesn't shock me. He's probably going to go full-time with Stewart-Haas Racing in 2021. And on the same day, it would be announced that Brad Moffitt, while he will not be returning to GMS in 2021 in the NASCAR Truck Series, he will be going full-time with Our Motorsports in 2021. He pretty much almost ran the full season with Our Motorsports. He has some really strong performances with this organization. I think that Our Motorsports has a really good driver that is driving for them next year. I think the playoffs is definitely not out of question for this team. I think that Brett Moffitt could finish top 10 in the points. I really believe in Brett Moffitt. I think he's a very underrated driver. He does perform really well. And when he's driven the car for this team, generally, if they're not had engine problems or engine failures or something go wrong with the car, generally, Brett Moffitt has ran really well with this organization. And this is a really good pickup for Our Motorsports in 2021. And then later in the week, it would be announced in shocking fashion as well that Travis Mack would not be returning to crew chief for Michael Annett at Junior Motorsports, and he will be going full-time to crew chief for Daniel Suarez in 2020, which I think is a really good pickup for Trackhouse. I think Trackhouse really is the real deal. You got an owner who is a driver, you got a pretty good driver, and you got a crew chief who has a lot of experience and has really gotten drivers better. I think that Travis Mack will get this team really up to speed as a crew chief and help Daniel Suarez become a better driver in the NASCAR Cup Series at Trackhouse Racing. And then it would be announced on the same day that Harrison Burton would be returning to Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. I think Harrison Burton, right off the bat, is going to be a championship contender with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. He had a lot of momentum at the end of the season. He was putting up some really strong performances late in the year. I mean, 2 of the last 3 races at Texas and Martinsville, he was able to win. So there's a lot of hope and around Harrison Burton. I think Harrison Burton is a really talented driver. He's really one driver that I was really excited to see go to Joe Gibbs Racing, and he got 4 wins at that team. There is a lot of hope and prayer, and I think that we'll have to see what happens to Harrison Burton, but he will be returning full-time with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2021. And then on the same day, it would be announced that Chase Purdy would be the final driver to be signed to GMS's full-time program, and I think he'll be driving the 23 or the 24 car full-time in 2021. Again, I really don't have much to say about Chase Purdy. I had some strong runs in ARC. I had some decent runs, but again, in trucks, with no practice qualifying and not being in a truck for like a year or 2, he really didn't do much. But again, I think that he could improve, and I think he has time to do it, and he will be going full-time with GMS in 2021. And then it would be a few more days before silly season would pick up once again in the Xfinity Series, but Jeb Burton would be announced to be going full-time with College Racing. It will be driving the number 10 car full-time in 2021. This will be the first time that Jeb Burton is racing full-time in any NASCAR series since 2014, when he ran for Turner Scott Motorsports in the Truck Series in 2014. Really good pickup. Jeb Burton is a very underrated driver. He does really well when he drives and if there's no problems with the Junior Motorsports cars. I think that he will have a really good opportunity to run well with this organization. I think this is a good pickup. I think there's definitely no question that he could win races with this team. He's been capable. We saw how good he was at Turner Scott. That team is kind of starting to fall in 2013. And he has put up some really strong performances with these organizations. And I think that Jeb Burton is going to be a really, really big pickup for this team and a great decision for them to put him in the number 10 car full-time in 2021. At the time, we thought that the Cup silly season was pretty much wrapping up with a few drivers still not solidified for 2021. And then out of nowhere, John Hunter Nemechek announced himself that he would be not returning to Front Row Motorsports in 2021, which a lot of people thought at the time, by the way, that he was going to be returning to Front Row Motorsports in 2021. Out of nowhere, he himself decided and made a decision for himself that he would be not returning full-time in 2021. And currently at the moment, we don't really know what's going on with John Hunter, but this was a big shocker. Silly season, it just really opened up Cup silly season once again. But he will not be returning to Front Row Motorsports in 2021. No, none of the insiders that I had information from pretty much knew anything are really, really shocked. And then it would be announced the next day, on that Tuesday, that Joe Gibbs Racing pretty much just had a major shuffle in the NASCAR Cup Series. So there would be 2 crew chief changes in the Cup Series. We do know that James Small and Chris Gabehart are going to be remaining where they are. So Chris Gabehart, crew chief for Denny Hamlin, and James Small, crew chief for Martin Truex Jr. Adam Stevens is not going to be working with Kyle Busch next year. He'll be actually working with Christopher Bell in 2021. And Ben Bayshore is going to be working with Kyle Busch in 2020. I think this is really, really hasty and kind of jumping the gun. After one bad year, you're going to move him. I think that's a really bad decision by Joe Gibbs Racing. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not in my episode talking about this, but I think that this is a really hasty move. I think Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch should really work together. And I'm not certain that Ben Bayshore is really going to be the one who steps up to plate and help Kyle Busch. So he has helped Kyle Busch at times in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But I think that Chris Bell getting Adam Stevens, I think this is a really good move for them as well. And I think this is a good move overall for Adam Stevens moving to Christopher Bell, but I think it's bad for Kyle Busch. And then we're going to talk about the Xfinity Series because there are some changes coming to the Xfinity Series Joe Gibbs Racing program as well. Jason Ratcliffe will be moving up from the Cup Series full-time to the NASCAR Xfinity Series program, and he'll be working with Harrison Burton in 2020. Again, a really, really big pickup. So basically, Ben Bayshore is going up with Kyle Busch. Jason Ratcliffe is going back to Xfinity to work with Harrison Burton. Dave Rogers is going to be working with Daniel Hemrick next year as the crew chief. Jeff Mendering is going to be working with Brandon Jones in the Xfinity Series. And Chris Gale moving down from the Cup Series, and he'll be working with the number 54 team with the mix of the Cup Series drivers. I think Chris Gale is arguably the weakest link in the Cup Series, so it didn't really surprise me. He's moving down. I'm kind of surprised Jason Ratcliffe's moving down, if we're going to be honest. I think that really shocked me. I thought he was going to end up being the crew chief. Probably going to be the crew chief for Christopher Bell. He's working Bell for a couple years. But I think this is a good pickup for Harrison Burton. I think this will actually help Harrison Burton become a better driver than he already is, especially with Burton coming off with a lot of momentum at the end of the 2020 season. And then, at the end of the week, it would be announced, and Ryan Preece on Wednesday would confirm himself, that he would be returning full-time to JHD Doherty Racing in 2021. We had reports and rumors going around that he was going to for sure be returning to the team, and then it was confirmed on this Wednesday evening, that he would be returning full-time to JHD Doherty in 2021. After a really strong second half of the season, it does not surprise me one bit that Ryan Preece will be returning full-time with JHD Doherty Racing in 2021. And then on that same evening, My Carmen Racing would announce their plans as well. They are going to be running 2 full-time cars with the team. Bailey Curry and Kyle Weatherman are going to be running both those cars for the majority of the season. They're expected to run pretty much most of the season. And it is also expected that you're going to see Joe Nemechek and Gray Galding in select races as well. Does surprise me. Expected that those 4 drivers that have raced for them in the past will be coming back full-time with them in 2021. Again, really strong move to put Bailey Curry and Kyle Weatherman back in My Carmen Racing. I think both those drivers at times, especially driving for them, it doesn't surprise anyone, but that they will be going full-time with them in 2021. And the final announcement that we have up to this point that was announced actually earlier today on Friday is that we have a new organization. This is going to include BJ McLeod and Matt Tiff. Live Fast Motorsports is born, and BJ McLeod is going to be the driver of this organization, the number 78 team, and they are going to have an SHR alliance. So they're basically going to be what Go Fast Racing was. They're going to be kind of starting where Go Fast Racing is, which really isn't a bad start if you ask me, kind of starting about where they are. They were about 29th, 25th to 30th place team on a week-to-week basis, which is really not a bad start for the team. And maybe as time goes on, they will become a better organization in 2021. And let's hope and pray to see what Live Fast Motorsports will do in 2020. I also really like the logo that they presented to us, by the way. So, yeah, that is pretty much all the silly season updates. So, what remains with silly season up to this point? Because silly season generally is really starting to come to an end in NASCAR, though there are a few things that we do not know. Let's talk about the Cup Series first. So, the 3 drivers that are major drivers that are not confirmed up to this point, that are not confirmed to be signed at this point, are John R. Nemechek, Corey LaJoie, and Ty Dillon. John R. Nemechek is a big shot. We all thought, like I said, he was going to be returning for Front Row Motorsports in 2021. There are a few teams I think he could go to. He's either going to end up in one of the 2 Spire cars, or there has been a rumor and rumbling that he might go back to the Truck Series and race for Kyle Busch Motorsports, though I think that would be a really bad decision. I know he brings funding, but Kyle Busch Motorsports is not as good of a team as they used to be, so I don't know if this would be an upgrade or downgrade for him. I know the Front Row isn't a great team, but they were already on the upswing, so it kind of shocks me that John R. Nemechek is thinking about going back to trucks, but he's pretty good in trucks. Corey LaJoie, while it has not been officially confirmed, he is currently the leading candidate to go to Spire Motorsports. Up to this point, I expect him to be going to Spire, and expect that here in the coming days and maybe before the year is over, that he will be going to Spire Motorsports full-time and returning there in 2021. And Ty Dillon, though, has not been confirmed. He is in the running to maybe go to one of Spire cars or go back to Xfinity Series and run for the RCR Xfinity Series program. While Michael McDowell has not been officially confirmed as well, I didn't mention about Michael McDowell. Well, he's not 100% been confirmed. It's expected that he will be returning full-time to Front Row Motorsports in 2021. So that leaves 1 Front Row Motorsports car and the two Spire cars. Along with Gompers Racing, we don't know their plans currently at the moment for 2021. There are rumors that they're going to end up being a part-time organization and not a full-time organization in 2021, with the charter money, with them basically losing $18,000 every race that they run. So they're losing $650,000. So that's why you're going to see a lot of these open teams only running select few races. MEM's probably going to run a few races as well next year. Now to the Xfinity Series. We don't know what's going on at RCR. There are rumors that there are going to be 2 full-time cars if Anthony Alfredo brings a lot of funding. There's also rumors that it could be Maya Steiner and Ty Dillon might end up going to that organization as well. That's really it. And College Racing might end up running a 3rd car there as well with AJ Allmendinger. And then you got JD Motorsports, some of the smaller teams. Of those teams, when we get closer to season, will probably be up there running in contention as well. And then finally, the Truck Series, we're starting to kind of get a glimpse of what is expected there. There are rumors that Trevor Bayne might be going to Nice Motorsports full-time, though it has not been confirmed. He's probably expected to be going to Nice Motorsports full-time. Kyle Busch Motorsports has not announced their driver's current moment, though, like I said, John Hunter is currently at the running for that car as well. You got to think about Chandler Smith, Christian Eckes, and Rafael Sar may be becoming the drivers there as well, maybe running select starts with those guys as well, but I expect Chandler Smith maybe to go in full-time in the Truck Series in 2021. Man, that is a huge recap of silly season. A lot of stuff we had to talk about in today's episode, that's for sure. So, Anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR silly season update for you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications so you can be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, links description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. If you enjoyed today's video and you actually made it through all the video of today's video, if you did that, I really appreciate it. Make sure you like this video so YouTube can recommend these awesome videos out to you guys. If you do that, I will really, really appreciate it because it will show that you guys support me. Do that and appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.